Everyone, welcome back to another lesson. And in this lesson, we're just going to continue with our blog that we have created so far. Now, what I will do is we're going to update our landing page, and we're going to create the for the category. We're going to have the dashboard index and the create method so that we can create categories. And let me just do this as well. We're going to have our routes, and we're going to have our extra methods and jobs. So we're going to have methods and jobs for our category page. Now, as you can see, if we go to our browser quickly, now as you can see, this looks very lovely. A-grade web design. All right, so we're going to update this. Now, in this course, I'm not really going to focus on teaching Tailwind CSS or HTML in general. Basically, this is just more or less the back-end code. But what we're going to do for this one is we're going to use a template to create our landing page. All right, so if we create a new tab, right, so let's create a new tab. And inside your tab, just type in Tailwind toolbox. Toolbox. Right, in a Tailwind toolbox. Okay, so basically what you will have is you will have obviously your Tailwind toolbox. Now just go to the landing page. Okay. Now the landing page will basically look something like this. All right. So this is the one that we're going to download. So it's a free starter template. We're obviously going to remove some of the things. We're just going to remove the pricing and stuff like that. But you can obviously keep and do whatever you want, change the colors and things like that. We're not going to do any of that. We just wanted to maybe just make it look a little bit nicer than it is now. All right. So what you do is we just click the download button. Okay. So then you're going to have this, and I'm just going to save it on my desktop. So let me save it. Okay. So then I'm going to open it. All right. And I'm just going to extract this one. Extract all, same space, and I'm just going to open it. Okay. Right, so what we're going to do, the index.html, I'm just going to open it with VS Code. Right, so it's all opened up for us, okay? Let me just make it a bit smaller. I'm just going to copy and paste. I think you guys might not see everything because I'm just going to make my window a little bit smaller. Right. Now, what I'm going to do is our head sections will still remain the same. Okay, so we don't need all of this. So we're just going to copy the style tag, but I'm going to actually copy this in a separate CSS. Remember we created that nav component. Now, as you can see, we got our nav here. Just copy that part. I'm just going to cut it out. Then we're going to go to resources, views, components, UI, partials, nav. I'm just going to paste it in there. So there's basically our navigation. Okay. Now I've just made the tabs a little bit smaller. Now you see the footer section, and we're going to copy this out as well. So just copy that. And then we're going to go to our footer, and we're going to replace it like this. Right, so that is pasted in. Okay, so what we're going to do, you see the script tag right here. And this one right here. All right, we're not going to have them in here. We're going to create a separate JavaScript file, so JS, and we're just going to create a new file called main. Let me just make it a bit bigger. Main.js. We're going to copy that JavaScript in there. Okay, so let me just put it bigger. So hopefully you guys can see all of this. Now basically this whole everything inside the script, we're just going to copy. Okay, everything in there, and in our main, we just paste it in there. Okay, that, basically for the drop down menu. I'm just going to copy everything here as well. This, let me create a new file and call this just drop down. Okay, new file, and I'm just going to call it drop down.js. Okay, so that we can just keep them separate because it looks like they wanted to keep them separate, so we stick with it. Okay, so we copy everything in there and then we paste it in here. All right, so basically the main.js was the top part, and this is like this. Okay, so let me just go like that. Okay, so it's all good. All right, so basically what we have done is we copied all the scripts out of there. So I'm going to remove the footer. Okay, so it's all good stuff. Okay, so now what we're going to do, if we go into our layouts, our base layout, okay, you see that we got our partials.head. Okay, so if we go in there, we can now, what we can do is we can just obviously link to those files. And our app.js, just remember, it is supposed to be last. Okay, so what we're going to do is source, okay, and asset, okay, and it's in the same JS file. So JS / we don't want the app.js, we're looking for the main.js. Okay, and we're looking for the fur method. And then obviously the next one is the drop down. Let me just make sure I got them in there. Nope. I copied them in the wrong place. It needs to be in the public folder. Let me just drag them to the public folder right there. Move. And the main.js just to the public folder. I'm just moving them. It must be in your public folder. Okay, so the other one is the drop down. Dropdown.js. Okay. So let's see. All right, so basically what we have done, let me just make sure. In our head, we just link all the JavaScript in there, the dropdown and the app. Okay, so all is good there. All right, the next thing that we're going to do, let me just close off the JavaScript. On your index, you see from the hero section right to the bottom right there, that whole part there, just cut them out. And in your home.index, let's go there, our home.index, paste it between your base layout, just like that. Okay, just paste it in there. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, and so just paste it in there. Okay, so we're not gonna need anything else except font family. We're not gonna be bothered with that. This is all good. Now what we're going to do, just this part, just a class, just copy that and put it inside your base right here. See, where's your body? Class equals to, and inside your body, just put that right there. So we got our nav, good stuff. And we got our head section with our JavaScript in there, good stuff. And let's see, base. And we have our footer. Now let's see if everything is there, and obviously the images is not in there, so let's just see if it works. That's all. All right, everything is in, everything is there, the styling, everything, because it comes from Tailwind. So as we installed it, obviously the image is not there. Now the only thing that we need now is we need to add that gradient. Okay, let's do that. Now as you can see, we got our gradient style right there. So if we copy that, and then we go to our index, now our base view. you know what we're going to do? Let's add it right here. And let's add it here for now. Let's see if I do that. Let's see. Okay, so if I do that, it changes. Very good. Okay, so we got our gradient in there. Right, there's another way to add the gradient instead of the style tags, but we're going to leave that because we're not going to be dealing as much with the Tailwind for now, but let's leave it there. I'm just going to add that image in there. Okay, so what we're going to do, back to VS Code. Let's go back. Inside VS Code, in your public folder, we're just going to create a new file. New folder, and I'm just going to call it img for images. Now, if I go to that folder where we downloaded the template, this one right here, now I'm just going to copy that hero PNG file. Okay, so let's copy that. Right, so we right click and copy. Then you're inside your XAMPP HTML blog, public. You see that image folder that we created? I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to call it BG for backgrounds, and another one called other. Right. And I'm just going to paste it in here. Right, so we got our hero PNG, and when we can close it, back to VS Code. Right, as you can see in your public, you will see there's a BG, that file, and we got other right here. So now we need to look for that image inside our home.index. Okay. Inside our home, you see that home folder, home controller, then you have home and the index. Right, as you can see, this is your hero right here. And in here, it's looking for that hero.png. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay. Right. Now, in here, what we're going to do is we're going to do asset. So basically, that is just almost like your base URL. And then what we're going to do is inside our asset, we're just going to look for the AMG other.hero.png. Great stuff. All right, so let's see how this looks like. Now, as you can see, we got our page all set up. All right, so we can close that. We don't need that anymore. And obviously, we're going to change the nav links so that we can direct us to the right places. Okay, so we're going to obviously add our register, login, and all that kind of stuff in there. But okay, so let's do that. Okay, so let's go to our nav. All right, the moment you installed your application, okay, so if you go down to your views, you would see a navigation menu right there. This one right here. You click on it. Now, basically what it does is got all your nav items in there. Okay, so basically, I'm going a bit too fast. Right, you've got your logo there, and then you've got obviously your link to your dashboard. Now, we don't have themes, all right, so we can delete this one. And we obviously have our settings for the user. That's all good. This is the hamburger menu. So this is basically your responsive stuff right there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is if we go into our components, partials, nav, you will have, obviously, this is the logo right there. Landing, called landing. I'm just going to call it blog. Change it to blog. Now, obviously, we've got our menu right here. Now, this list items that we have in here, I'm going to replace them with this guy right here. Okay. So if you go to your menu, you see this linked navigation links to your dashboard. Just copy that. Okay. So we're going to paste it in here. So that's the first one, because we want to be able to navigate to our dashboard, and I'm just going to call it dashboard. Right, because we need our dashboard in order to create our categories, posts, and stuff like that. Okay, so let's see if it works. All right, so let me refresh. So as you can see, we got our dashboard right there. So if we click on it, it will ask us for login because it's got the authentication and stuff like that. Right. So I'm just going to add the register and login page as well. Right. You see your settings. Just copy this part right here. We don't need the action. So I'm just going to delete this. Let me save and right. So we pasted it in there. Now the thing is, this requires authentication. So basically what we're going to do above our, just a div above the Jetstream drop down, what we're going to do is we're going to add an auth blade syntax for authentication. So basically what this does is it checks if the user is authenticated. If it's not authenticated, this won't appear. Okay, so let's do it like this, and just underneath that div, we're going to add the auth there as well. Right, and we're going to do the same for the dashboard because we need authentication. So we're going to do auth right there, and underneath that, we're going to, this is going to be our register and our login. So just underneath this, we're going to have our auth as well. So, and auth. Right, so we got our opening authentication, and then we got our end authentication between the URL tags, okay? And underneath that, we have that relative space, and then we're just gonna, the div with that relative, we can just add that Jetstream drop down in there as well. Okay, so then we have that encapsulated with the auth as well. But now between this auth and that, we're just going to add an else. Okay, like this, add else. All right, so if the user is authenticated, please show him this. If it's not authenticated, then show him this. All right, and the first one is going to be login, and the other one is going to be register. All right, if you don't want to do what I'm doing right now with this nav, you can just basically copy everything inside this nav, inside your nav blade partial right there. You can do that as well. But I just wanted to show you a different way of doing it. But you can just basically everything in here, just copy it and paste it in here. Okay. That's another way of doing it. But I'm showing you this way so that you guys can see where everything is and what it is for. All right. So now for our route for register, we're just going to put in route, and we're just going to add register. Register like this. And our login is just going to be blade syntax, and then we can just add route, and then we're just going to do login. All right. If anything is not clear, guys, please ask the question or pause the video and just check through that. Okay. But I'm going to start at the top of the nav that we just copied. All right. As you can see, we got our first div right here. And this part right here is basically that logo. Okay. And we're going to, on the logo, we're just going to add a route of that home route. So if the user clicks on that icon, on that logo, it will just basically return them to the home route. Okay. So let me just make this, put it like this, a logo right there. All right. Then we got our menu button. Okay. But this is hidden because it is actually for smaller screens. Okay. So that's why it's there. Okay. And then we got obviously our three things right here. We got our login and register and our dashboard right there. And then underneath it, that div right here, we got our X drop down. Okay. Register. So let's register. Just create a fake account. All right. So I'm just going to register John Doe. John at email.com. And just use password and password. Okay, so now we have a user. Let's don't save that. Okay, so now we have a user. All right, as you can see, we add our dashboard right here. Okay, so now we logged in. Let me just make it a bit bigger. Okay, so we logged in. We're on our dashboard, and we obviously have our profile for John Doe, which is going to be our admin user for now. All right, so John Doe, you've got your email and all the things. So this is the default Jetstream scaffolding that we get. All right, but what I'm going to do inside here, I'm just going to add basically more menu items for the tags, for the categories, and the tag and the post. Okay, so let's do that quickly. Now, as you can see, that app, our layouts.app, which is the one that we use for the dashboard. So this is going to be our dashboard layout base. As you can see, it's using the navigation menu right here. Now, the navigation menu is the one that we just copy and paste some of the things that we moved over. Now, as you can see, that navigation menu, we're just going to add another one. Now, I'm not going to change the route yet, but I just want to show you guys. Let me just do this one is for the dashboard. Dashboard. And this one is for the categories. Okay. And we have another one for the tags. So let me just copy and paste them in here. And then we have another one for the posts. Okay, so let me just copy this in here. Right, so we got our dashboard. I'm just going to change the names. Okay, but the routes, we're going to change that just in a second, but don't be, we're going to do that. Just bear with me. Okay, we got our tag categories in there. We got our tags. And then obviously we have our posts. Right, so now we've done that. Let's go to Firefox. Now, as you can see, in our browser, it will create our categories, tags, posts, and things like that. But we're going to create separate routes so that we can have all the lovely items here, and this will change and stuff like that. Okay, so now let's get started with the categories. Okay, cool stuff. Got so many things open, so I'm just going to close them all. Yep, I closed that. So this, we're obviously going to change the route. So then we're going to change the route right here for categories, but we're going to get that in a second. Okay, so let's leave the navigation right there, close it off. And this is the home.index. We can close it off. And this is that index file that we copy and pasted here, so we can close that. We don't need that anymore. All right, so we created our landing page. Now we're going to do the category with its routes and methods. All right, now we're going to get to the exciting part. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a category controller. All right, so let's do it like this. Control tilde. Right, so we have this right here. So we're going to do PHP artisan make controller, singular category, and controller just at the end of it. Okay, but one word. Okay, now the thing is, I want route model binding in it, so I'm just going to link the model of category in it. Okay, now the thing is, what this will do, it will create all the methods inside it, the CRUD methods inside it. Okay, so let's quickly press enter, and you'll see it successfully created that for us. So if we go to the category controller, okay, controller, right, let me just try that again. Category controller. As you can see, we opened it right there. We close it off. Now you can see it created all kinds of methods for us inside it. It's got an index method. It's got the create. It's got the store. It's got the show. It's got the edit. It's got the update. It's got the destroy method in it. But what it does as well is it actually adds the route model binding to it as well. Okay, so it model binding right there. So it added our category and things like that, and it actually imports it for you automatically. Now, how to get to there is basically under your controllers, and we have our category controller right there. Right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have an index method. So we're going to have a public. So we already got the method. We're just going to return a view. Now I'm going to create a separate folder for the dashboard. Okay. This must be between that. So it's going to be a dashboard. Okay. Dot category. Okay. Dot index. All right. So that's kind of the folder structure I'm going for. So I'm going to have a dashboard so that I know what's front page and what's at the back. All right. So I know this is inside my dashboard, and I'm going to have the categories, and I'm going to have the index right there. Or you could have done this under admin so that you know only the admin have access to that. You could have done that. No problema. So all you do is now inside our resources, views, we're going to go for a new folder, and I'm just going to call it dashboard. Dashboard. Come on. All right. And inside the dashboard, I'm just going to create a new folder again called categories. Right. So I'm going to create another folder called tags, and another one folder called posts. Right. So all these kind of things will be in our dashboard, but we going to get obviously to the other ones, but we're in the categories for now. Okay. So inside our categories, we're going to create a new file called index.blade.php. Right. That's our first one. All right. Then we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it create.blade.php. Right. So we're going to have a create one, and then we're going to have another file called edit.blade.php. Right. So we got our index, create, and our edit. Okay. So inside our views right here, we're going to return the create method is also going to return a view of dashboard.categories.create. All right. Good stuff. And our edit, where's the edit? Okay, the edit is also going to return a view of dashboard.categories.edit. Now, I'm just going to add the data in a sec, but we're not going to worry about that for now. We're just going to start with the index. Okay, so we got all our files in there. Right, in order to link to this, we need obviously our routes. Okay, so we created a controller with all its methods in them, and we actually link to the correct views. As you can see, I can click and I can get to the views right there because I got the go to view extension enabled. All right, so let's go to our routes. Now, what you can do, we have one of two choices. We can either add that security, remember our construct method, so we can add our middleware in our controller, or we can add our middleware in our web routes file. Now the thing is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my middleware in the web file, because sometimes you might forget in certain instances to actually add your construct method in there. Right? Then this way we're making sure that all our routes are protected right here. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a route group. All right, so I'm going to add a route. We're going to have a route group. Now this group is going to basically be an array. Okay, an array is going to be middleware. The middleware for this group is going to be auth, because we want the users to be authenticated, and we're going to add a prefix okay, of dashboard. Okay, that's our prefix, and then we're going to be a function. Okay. Okay, and then we have, now we're going to obviously create another route group inside this group. Now the reason why I'm doing this is for the prefix. Now I'm going to show you. Now if we add a route in here like this, okay, let's say we add the home route. Now the prefix will actually add the dashboard like this automatically in it for us, but we don't need to do that because we got the prefix in there. And the middleware auth will basically be any routes inside this route group, the user needs to be authenticated. Or you can do an array like this, where it's basically that, and you can have another array of, let's say, is admin, like this. Okay, so if you have another middleware like this, you can create the middleware. Those two middleware will apply in here, right? But for now, we only have the one for auth. Okay, so we're going to add that right there, and now we add another route group, another route group in here, so you can do that as well. Now this route group is just going to be like this. It's only going to have a prefix, okay, I know this is going to be a little bit redundant, but it's okay. And we're going to have another one as, and this one is going to be dashboard. All right. Now the dashboard is basically the name of your route. Okay. But not to worry, we're going to create a function. I will show you, and you can see the reasoning behind it. Right, so this one, we actually don't need the prefix there, but I just want to put it in there because this one is basically just for our dashboard. This one right here. This one right here. Okay, so I want to delete this one, but I want to create a controller called dashboard controller. Okay, so let's quickly do that. PHP artisan make controller. Now the thing is, what we can do is we can actually create a folder inside our controllers where all this the dashboard controllers can go into. So basically, in order to do that, you can just create like dashboard slash, then you can actually have your controller name right here. You can do it like this, or you can put it like admin / category controller. You could do it like this as well. But for our sake right now, we're just going to keep everything in the same folder. I'm just not going to create separate folders. Okay, so we're just going to do a dashboard controller, and I'm just no route model binding needed on it. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So let's open that dashboard controller. Okay, so dashboard controller, right? So we have our dashboard controller here. We're just going to return a view under dashboard. Okay, if I can spell, .index. All right, we're just going to return this view right here. All right, return. No. I forgot to write the function. Okay, so we need to do public function index. That's the method, and that method is just going to return a view dashboard and dashboard.index. Okay. Now the reason why I'm doing it, let me just open it up here. So if you go to our resources, this is going to be a little bit of a long episode, but we're going to get it done. All right, the resources view, and we got our dashboard, and we're just going to create a new file called index.blade.php. All right, now this file right there is basically you copy everything inside that dashboard.blade.php, you copy everything in there and you just paste them in there. All right. And then we can delete this file. Right. It just, for me, just create a little bit of structure so that you kind of know where everything is. All right. Let me just close it like this. Now you can see we have the prefix of dashboard. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to create that route. Okay, of a get route. Okay, and then we're going to do it like this. Come on. Right, and then we're going to link our dashboard controller. Dashboard controller class, and the method inside it is the index. Okay. Now, if you put in here name, and we put the index. All right. So this will actually return something like this. Okay. It actually looks like this. Route under this group that we have. Okay. It looks like this. /. Just want to show you what all of this is. And this is going to be dashboard. Okay. Then we're going to have our comma. Then we have our dashboard controller. Let me just copy everything. Make it easy for us. Right, it's going to have all of that, but inside here it actually looks like this. Dashboard.index. Because of that as dashboard. Okay. So basically that as is actually to put like the name dot that. But what we're doing normally is we add the dot there. Otherwise, it doesn't add it in there if we don't include it. Okay. So let me delete that. Okay. So that's normally how it's going to look like. But for this sake, we're not going to add the name right there. Now let's add the name. Dashboard.index. All right. So we got our dashboard in here. Okay, the next one that we're going to have inside this route group is obviously our categories. Okay. Now the thing is, I'm obviously going to link this right here in our navbar, but for now, we're not going to do it. I just want to finish this route group. Now the thing is, what you can do is you can actually add a resource route in here. Okay, we can do source. Now then we can just obviously add the categories and the category controller. Okay. Class. Okay. We can obviously do this. And then basically this resource controller gives us all the controllers. It gives us the create, the index, create, store, all the methods basically inside our category controller. It basically does it inside the resource. But I'm not going to do this in this because it kind of, there's a lot of magic that you don't kind of know where everything is. But if you do a production, you can use it like this. But for the tutorial, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use normal get routes, put routes, and delete routes, just to kind of show you the actual structure and stuff like that. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to delete this one. Right, so I'm just going to do a route, and I'm just going to do the group. All right, and this one is also going to be more or less the same. There's going to be a prefix. All right, the prefix, what is this prefixed by? Is going to be prefixed by categories. All right, it's going to be prefixed by categories, and it's going to be as category dot. Okay, so no, let's do a categories. Let's stay consistent. All right, and then we're going to create a function. So this is basically where all our routes is going to go inside. All right, so we got our group. It's prefixed by categories, and whatever it is basically categories.index, categories.create, That's basically what this as is for. All right, so let's create a route. The first one is a get route. Right, that is going to go to, okay, so this is going to go to our category controller, right, and class, and the method inside will be index, okay, and the name will be index. But because, like I said, the as, it will be categories.index. Okay, the next one that we have is called the get method, and this one, remember, we're going to do route model binding. This one is going to be at the create. Okay, we don't have to put the / like that. We can actually just leave it. All right, and then we're going to have the category controller. All right, controller class, and the method inside the class is called create. All right, now this is a lot of typing out, so I'm just quickly going to do that. All right, so I created our routes right there. So basically we have our index, we have our create, we have our post route. Now the post route can actually, basically what it will look like, it will actually post to the categories tab. Okay, so it posts to like that. Then we have another get for the edit. Now the thing is, what you can do is, you're going to use the slug to get the category, but you can actually leave it like this, and it will actually just get the name. But for me, I'm going to leave it like this to get the slug. And then we're going to have a put method to update the. So you got the post method when you create it. You go have a put method when you update it, and you have a delete method when you, like here, like you have a delete one when you actually want to delete the category. Now the thing is, we're going to have the slug as well. Let me just, that is not supposed to be in here. Need to do it like this. Now the thing is, you can leave the delete like this. You can leave it like that. But I'm going to keep it for myself so that I know that actually when I want to delete something. But you actually won't see that, but I'm just keeping it in there. Okay, so you can leave it like this. This is fine. Or you can add it like that. That's completely fine. You can even do it like this, .update. You can have that, not an issue, but you don't need to have it in there. Right, so this is basically our category controller, and the index right there, that's basically our method inside our class. So basically that index is referring to this one right here. And that create method refers to this right here. And the store method refers also like the store right here. And we're going to fill all those in. All right. So let's just do like this. All right, this is on over 40 minutes already. Right, so we had our controller for all those methods in there. All right, in the next lesson, basically in the categories, because we had our landing page, we could have done everything in this episode, but because we added our landing page, I rather don't want to rush through the methods and why I do what I do. I'd rather want to have a longer video and I don't skimp through what I'm doing inside it. So the next episode, we will actually populate everything in here. We're going to add our methods and our jobs, everything inside here, because I want to create custom requests and all of that stuff. And we're going to do that in the next episode. All right. Thank you guys for watching it this far. If you have any questions and if everything is clear as mud, please let me know in the comment section and I will try to help you guys out with that. So if I can answer you. All right. And obviously in the next episode, this part we will delete this right here because we have our new dashboard controller that handles things. So we're going to delete this and then we're going to add that obviously to our nav, but we want to focus mainly on this part right here in the next episode, nothing else. Okay. We will do this quickly in the next episode and then we will add all the things that we need for our category in that controller. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.